Hello everyone and welcome to my Cryptopsy ranking. I quite liked doing this rate your music kind of format for the Dark Throne video, the Sepultura video, the Enslaved video, and the Cannibal Corpse one too, which most of those I did live by the way. If I remember, I'll put the link down below somewhere to where I did all those discography reviews. But anyways, their brand new album As Grimoire Burns came out to 14 hours ago. And spoiler alert, it's amazing, and I loved it. More on that later. So even though this is in the rate music format, this is going to be flat out ranking. It's not going to be like the 5 or 6 bands I just mentioned, where I go in order from album to album. It's an actual ranking. It's going to be nice and visual. We have all the tracks up, the track lengths, my rating out of 5, which is important to know so you can kind of gauge the progression of the band and what I think their overall quality is. But yeah, it's Cryptopsy. I don't really need to introduce them too much. When they started, they were a whole new level of intense and animalistic. With their first 2 albums specifically, they set a whole new benchmark for how heavy and abrasive death metal could be. And with that being said, we shall get straight into it. Coming last is, of course, The Unspoken King. Now, a lot of people flat out think that this album is awful. I don't really hear that, honestly. Um, I have it as a 3 out of 5. Like, it's fine. It's not necessarily an album I'd be really reaching for if I was in a Cryptopsy-ish mood. But, it's fine. Like, the first 4 or 5 tracks are pretty much just Cryptopsy doing their thing. Skull-crushingly heavy tech death with a good mix of fast and slow sections, the always incredible Flo Monure on drums. But the second half is where things get interesting to say the least. You have the regular sung vocals as opposed to the, crowd vocals, and a lot of it doesn't work at all. They sound like they want to go for these like metalcore-ish choruses, and it doesn't mesh well in the slightest. I was playing games when I listened to this on one of my 2 listens of this album, and I was kind of just like, nah, guys, this is not it. A lot of the times when the clean vocals came in. If they maybe like eased themselves into it more and toned it down into like a middle chorus section before breaking into those vocals, it would probably work better. But there's so many parts where they just go bang. Here's a big chorus with sung vocals instead of growls. I think there was one track towards the end where I was kind of like, okay, this kind of works. But for most of it, it was just like, Jesus Christ, guys, this is not good. So yeah, as I was saying, the first like 4 or 5 tracks, they're all legitimately pretty awesome. Because, yeah, a lot of people call this their deathcore album. I'd argue it's more like 50-50 between tech death and deathcore. And yeah, on those first like 4 or 5 tracks, I think it works excellently. They kind of give me vibes of bands like Archspire and Entheos and blah blah blah, bands who are tech death, don't get me wrong, but have very clear deathcore influences. So yeah, it's kind of a battle of 2 halves. Because a lot of people would be like, oh, the second half of blah 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 album is not as strong as the first. This is an album where it's absolutely the case. And has a far stronger first half. So yeah, it's a 3 out of 5, like it's fine. But it's not exactly an album I'm going to be reaching for if I'm going for Cryptopsy. Anyways, next is then Then You'll Beg. There's not necessarily anything wrong with this album, it just kind of in one ear and then out the other. It's just kind of them doing their own thing. And I believe this was their 4th or 5th album, so they just come off 3 bangers in a row, and then they release this, and then you're kind of like, you guys could have done better. Not really that much more to say about this one. Okay, Once More Tonight. This one's a bit more an improvement. This one's also a 3.5 out of 5, just like, and then you're big. They occupy this territory where they're like, yeah, okay, this is quite good. And not too much more. There's one song in particular, I don't recall which one it is, but it has like one of the nastiest breakdowns they've ever written. And they just slam straight into it out of nowhere, if I recall correctly. If I remember what track it is, I'll put it there. And Yeah, once again, a lot of it's just kind of in one ear, out the other. That's like 4 times in a row stuff I've saying that now. Now, for music in general, I'm normally cool with long albums, like albums that are like 50 minutes, an hour, hour 10, just as long as they're quality. But for death metal, I'm one of those people who needs it like 40 minutes or under. So when I saw that this album was 50 minutes, that concerned me right away. And yeah, this is definitely a very bloated album. You could have easily trimmed 2, 3, maybe even 4 songs off it. And when you have 2 songs that are 5 minutes and one that nearly scraped 6, adds up pretty quickly. So yeah, don't twist my words, guys. I'm cool with long albums, but not for death metal. There are some exceptions, like Obscura by Gorguts, all 3 Beyond Creation albums and stuff like that. But please, 40 minutes or less for tech death. Thank you. Okay, next up is the self-titled. Pretty much the same story as, I was just talking about it. Once Was Not. They kind of, to me, these two sound very similar. And if I recall correctly, one of these songs had like a flat-out jazzy break. Jazzy section, rather. I was like, damn, this is actually pretty cool. And it works well. Because they kind of have like a big moment of silence. And, yeah, it really caught me off guard. I think I was like waiting for a bus to come or something after uni one day. Just kind of standing there doing my own thing. Just like staring in the distance because I had not that much else better to do. Then the jazzy break came in and I was literally just like, wow. I don't recall which track that is off the top of my head. I think it's one of these. Not sure. Anyways, yeah, it's just Cryptopsy doing what they do best. And not that much else to say. Also, about my length complaint, 35 minutes, 8 tracks. Perfect. Perfect runtime for this kind of music. Next up at number 4 is going to be the new one, As Gomorrah Burns. This is another one where it's just Cryptopsy doing what they do best, but I feel like the songs are just more effective. The slow parts are more effective. The production is amazing, as you would hope for an album that came out today. And yeah, it's a front to back banger, just like the early stuff, which we will now get into. Because coming in at number 3, Whisper Supremacy. The first one without Lord Worm vocals, and yeah, you can kind of feel the loss of his presence. Who was it on vocals again? Mike DeSalvo, who does a pretty damn good job, but in the shadow of Lord Worm, it's a pretty big drop. Cold Hate Warm Blood, top 5 Cryptopsy song ever. It's just absolutely relentless from start to finish, and that little clean break that they have in it, like what, 3 or 4 times in the song, and it even opens the song. That was another song just like the one with the jazzy break, which I'll need to try and remember and put the song name there. Is one that really caught me off guard. Then of course it just punches you straight back in the face and slams you with the heaviness. Once again, 8 tracks, 31 minutes. Great runtime. It just flies by every single time. I've listened to this album 3, 4, 5 times now. It never gets old. But just like most people, I have the first 2 top. Do I prefer the more primal approach of Blasphemy Made Flesh? Or do I prefer the 32-minute whirlwind of None So Vile? Blasphemy Made Flesh is number 2. First things first, it might be my favourite art. With this like weird pathway to some creepy looking creature in the background. I don't know. Every single time I look at that art, I kind of stared at it for a while and go, huh. So with this album, it does peak straight away with its first 3 tracks. Defenestration, Abigor, and Open Face Surgery, which to me is the album's highlight. And has one of their coolest halftime sections with that little bit in the middle. It's got like this like almost swing kind of feel to it, like a jazzy or bluesy kind of thing. And oh, it's so gross. So gross. It also has that that cool sample of the guy about to get, cut open while he's still alive, because, open face surgery, you're still awake when the surgery's being done. What really knocks this album back is the production. It's their first album, it's 1994, so you could cut them some slack. If this was like their 3rd album or something, and the production was this bad, I would be like, guys, you should have got a better producer. Because I've always found that the drums are too loud and too reverby. The guitar tone is really bad, so that doesn't help at all. And there are so many parts when Flo is going ham on the drums and you can't hear anything else going on. But yeah, overall, this is a classic of the death metal genre. And when people tell me it's their favorite Cryptopsy album, I say to them, you know what? Fair enough. It's a great album. But of course, None So Vile coming in at number 1. Whenever I see a song from this album, or just see the artwork, or just hear the very mention of it, the first word that comes to mind is Masterpiece. It's a top 10 death metal album of all time for me, and pretty much everything about it is perfect in my book. Production, songwriting, musicianship, art, song construction, album length. Once again, it's very short and just flies by every time. First 3 tracks are my favorite 3 Cryptopsy songs. There is not a single weak moment on any of them for me. Dead and Dripping is amazing. Benedictine Convulsions is amazing. Phobophile and Lick Mistress do kind of go by in one ear and out the other. I didn't stuff it up that time. But then you have Orgiastic Disembowelment at the end. Yes! That's such a good one. And I'm thinking of remaking my favorite albums of all time video. This was damn close to making it in the top 15. It's an album I've listened to 10, 11, 12 times at this point, and it only gets better for me, really. Again, a classic. And hands down, my favorite Cryptopsy album. I'd go so far as to say it's the best brutal death metal album of all time, and I'm pretty sure it's the top on Rate Your Music. Yeah, sick. That's about Pierce from Within. Suffocation, that's a band I need to rank. That's a great album too. Damn, 2 of them by Cryptopsy are in the top 10. Annihilation of the Wicked at number 6. That's a band I also might be doing a discography review on or something. 2 by Nile in the top 10? Yeah. Oh, also guys, go listen to the new Dyke Fetus album. It's really good. And I actually liked it more than the new Cryptopsy album, which also came out today. So yeah, None So Vile. A masterpiece. I don't know what else to say. And if you haven't listened to it before, and you're a death metal fan, first of all, why did you waste your time with not listening to this album sooner? And share your Cryptopsy ranking down below. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.